Most people don't destroy their lives through one dramatic mistake. They do it quietly, slowly, day by day, through habits they excuse, thoughts they never question, and comforts they mistake for peace. And the most dangerous part is this: they don't even realize it's happening. They wake up, repeat the same patterns, silence their inner discomfort, and call it normal. But deep inside, something knows. Something feels heavy, restless, unfulfilled. That feeling is not weakness. It is awareness knocking on the door. You are not ruining your life because you failed. You are ruining it when you refuse to take responsibility for your inner state. When you let fear decide your actions. When you avoid discomfort instead of growing through it. Every time you choose distraction over discipline, excuses over effort, and comfort over clarity, you move one step further away from the person you are capable of becoming. Life does not punish you for what you don't do. It simply reflects it back to you. Many people believe suffering comes from external problems, but most suffering is self-created. It comes from resisting reality, replaying the past, fearing the future, and ignoring the present. It comes from uncontrolled thoughts, unmanaged emotions, and undisciplined habits. When the mind is not trained, it becomes chaotic. When emotions are not observed, they take control. And when discipline is absent, life slowly falls apart, not all at once, but piece by piece. Look closely at your daily actions, the food you eat, the words you speak to yourself, the way you react under pressure, the people you allow access to your energy. These small decisions shape your life far more than any single event. You don't lose direction overnight, you drift there by neglecting awareness. You don't lose strength suddenly. You give it away every time you avoid responsibility for your inner world. The truth is uncomfortable, but it is also freeing. No one is coming to save you from the consequences of your own habits. And no one needs to. Because the same power that allows you to ruin your life is the power that can rebuild it. The moment you become aware of your patterns, you regain choice. The moment you stop blaming circumstances, you regain control. Discipline is not punishment, it is protection. Awareness is not criticism, it is clarity. Unconscious habits are the most dangerous forces shaping your life because they operate quietly, without resistance, without warning. You don't wake up one day and decide to weaken your future. It happens through repeated actions that feel harmless in the moment. Scrolling instead of thinking. Avoiding discomfort instead of facing it. Choosing what is easy instead of what is necessary. These habits slowly rewrite your identity. What you repeat becomes what you believe, and what you believe becomes how you live. Over time, potential doesn't disappear. It gets buried under routine. The mind loves familiarity. It prefers what is known over what is meaningful. This is why destructive habits are so comfortable. They don't demand effort, discipline, or courage. They promise relief, distraction, and escape. But every habit comes with a cost. The cost of unconscious habits is clarity. The cost is energy. The cost is self-respect. Each time you act without awareness, you teach your mind that growth is optional and discipline is negotiable. Eventually, this mindset spreads into every area of life. Most people don't realize how much their habits control them. They believe they are making choices, but in reality, they are repeating patterns. The same reactions to stress, the same avoidance of responsibility, the same excuses dressed up as logic. Habits shape your nervous system. They determine how you respond under pressure, how you speak to yourself, how you treat your body, and how you handle failure. When habits are unconscious, life feels repetitive, stagnant, and heavy. Potential is not destroyed by failure, it is destroyed by neglect. When you stop challenging yourself, you stop evolving. When you stop paying attention, you stop growing. Unconscious habits slowly lower your standards. What once felt unacceptable becomes normal. What once demanded effort becomes avoided. This is how people drift away from their purpose without ever making a clear decision to do so. The danger is not the habit itself, but the lack of awareness around it. Awareness brings choice. Without it, habits run automatically. You eat without noticing. You react without thinking. You speak without intention. And over time, this unconscious living creates a life that feels misaligned, empty, and unfulfilling. The frustration you feel is not random. It is the result of living below your potential while sensing that something more is possible. Breaking unconscious habits does not require force, it requires attention. The moment you begin to observe your actions, their power weakens. You start to see how often you avoid discomfort, how quickly you seek distraction, how easily you justify delay. This observation is uncomfortable, but it is necessary. Growth begins the moment you stop lying to yourself about what is holding you back. Every habit is a vote for the person you are becoming. When habits are unconscious, that vote is cast blindly. When habits are intentional, life begins to align. The quality of your future depends less on talent and more on the habits you repeat daily without thinking, because those habits decide how much discipline you build, how much courage you develop, and how much of your potential is allowed to surface into reality. Lack of awareness keeps you trapped in the same cycle, because without awareness, nothing truly changes. You may want a different life, stronger discipline, more peace, or deeper purpose, but desire alone is powerless if your mind remains unconscious. When awareness is absent, the same thoughts repeat, the same emotions arise, and the same reactions take control. Life begins to feel like a loop you cannot escape, not because you are incapable, but because you are not present enough to interrupt the pattern. Most people live inside their thoughts without ever questioning them. A thought appears, and it is immediately believed. A feeling arises, and it is instantly acted upon. There is no pause, no observation, no space to choose differently. This is what it means to live on autopilot. The mind is running old programs built from fear, habit, and conditioning, and because they feel familiar, they feel true. Awareness is the ability to step back and watch the program instead of being consumed by it. When awareness is missing, emotions become commands. Anger demands reaction, fear demands avoidance, desire demands indulgence. And because there is no observation, these emotions dictate behavior. Later, regret appears, but the pattern repeats again. This is not weakness, it is unconsciousness. Without awareness, even intelligence works against you, because the mind will justify harmful patterns with logic, excuses, and rational explanations that sound convincing but lead nowhere. Awareness creates a gap between impulse and action. In that gap, freedom exists. The moment you notice a thought instead of obeying it, control returns. The moment you feel an emotion without reacting, strength develops. Awareness does not remove challenges, but it changes your relationship with them. You stop being dragged by the mind and start directing it. This is the turning point where growth begins. Living without awareness slowly drains energy. You fight the same battles repeatedly. You carry emotional weight that was never processed. You react to situations that no longer deserve your attention. Over time, this creates exhaustion, frustration, and confusion. Many people mistake this state for normal life, but it is not. It is the result of living disconnected from the present moment. Where clarity and power exist, awareness brings you back into the present. It anchors you in what is actually happening instead of what the mind imagines. In the present moment, problems are usually manageable. Fear weakens. Thought slows. The body relaxes. From this state, intelligent action becomes possible. You respond instead of react. You choose instead of repeat. You move forward instead of circling the same mistakes. The cycle only continues as long as it remains unseen. The moment you observe your patterns, they begin to loosen. Awareness exposes the habits, beliefs, and reactions that keep you stuck. It shines light on the unconscious decisions shaping your life. And once something is clearly seen, it cannot control you in the same way. Awareness is not about judging yourself, it is about seeing yourself honestly, because only what is seen can be changed, and only what is observed can be transformed into something stronger, clearer, and more aligned with the life you are meant to live. Discipline is the dividing line between a life that slowly deteriorates and a life that steadily transforms, because discipline determines how you behave when emotions are unstable and circumstances are difficult. Anyone can feel inspired for a moment, But inspiration does not build a life. Discipline does. It governs your actions when no one is watching, when progress feels slow, and when excuses feel convincing. Without discipline, your life becomes reactive, driven by mood, comfort, and external pressure rather than intention and values. Most people associate discipline with force, restriction, or self-punishment, but true discipline is an act of self-respect. It is the decision to structure your life in a way that supports your future self. Discipline sets boundaries around your time, your attention, and your energy. It decides when you sleep, how you train your body, what you consume mentally, and how you respond emotionally. Without these boundaries, chaos quietly enters. Days blur together. Priorities weaken. Small neglects compound into large problems. Comfort is the greatest enemy of transformation because comfort demands nothing and gives nothing back. It feels harmless, even deserved, but over time it lowers your standards. You begin to tolerate what once felt unacceptable. You delay what once felt urgent. Discipline challenges this decline. It introduces deliberate discomfort that strengthens you rather than weakens you. Waking up early, training the body, focusing the mind, and resisting distractions are not acts of suffering. They are acts of preparation. A disciplined mind is calmer under pressure because it has been trained to stay steady. A disciplined body is stronger because it has been conditioned through consistency. Discipline creates reliability within yourself. You begin to trust your own word. When you say you will do something, you do it. This internal trust builds confidence that is not dependent on praise or results. It comes from knowing you can rely on yourself even when conditions are unfavorable. Transformation happens quietly through repetition. Discipline does not announce itself. It works in silence, shaping habits, reinforcing structure, and aligning actions with purpose. Over time, disciplined routines remove decision fatigue. You no longer negotiate with yourself about what needs to be done. The structure is already in place. This frees mental energy and reduces inner conflict. Life feels clearer not because it is easier, but because it is organized. Discipline also changes how you respond to failure. Without discipline, failure becomes an excuse to quit. With discipline, failure becomes feedback. You adjust, correct, and continue. This resilience is what separates those who grow from those who remain stuck. Discipline keeps you moving forward even when progress is slow and recognition is absent. When discipline is missing, life drifts toward disorder. Emotions dominate decisions. Short-term relief replaces long-term vision. Potential remains unrealized not because of lack of talent, but because of lack of structure. Discipline restores direction. It turns awareness into action and intention into reality. It is the daily practice of choosing what strengthens you over what soothes you, what builds you over what distracts you, what aligns you over what feels comfortable in the moment.